Got her done, as a certain cable guy likes to say. And I believe it's going to fit. It's hard to see. I know it's hard to see because it's black and the lighting conditions here suck. But anyway, the switch just barely has enough clearance for the part to move back and forth. The little lever thing, the toggle, I guess. Yeah, that's a good name for it, toggle. So I'm going to go ahead and install this thing. Come on, get out of the way. It's hard to work when I'm trying to shoot a show at the same time, but I'll get it. Alright, there we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of super glue to hold this in place. You gotta be careful with super glue because it's very thin and will cause your switch to jam, and it will ruin your switch. Now, one more blob. Come on. There we go. Gotta wipe off some of this. I'm using my finger. Not too smart, but it works. And if you can hear that, it still functions. But it's not quite ready yet. First of all, I need to install the wiring. Now, I know I have a scrap of wire here on this bench somewhere. Got to. I've got everything else. Is that it? No, that wouldn't work. Back here, maybe. Found one. Here we go. I'll go ahead and strip it. When I say stripping, I'm referring to, of course, removing insulation, in case you weren't familiar with that term. And once you strip your wire, by the way, you want to twist the ends if it's stranded wire. Okay, let's see here. I think, let me adjust the camera. I think that is just long enough to work, so I'm going to go ahead and twist the ends together and solder them. I'm going to attach this first on here. Let's see, I want the switch to operate so that it, when it's pointing toward Iron Man, it's on. That's kind of a user-friendly thing, because it's a natural thing that whenever you flip a switch towards something, you're turning that something on. Now, let's get this nice and soldered. That's an interesting term, nice and soldered. You can tell I'm tired. I'm making stupid jokes all night. Come on, why isn't this burning? Here, you probably can't see that. There we go. Really, the soldering iron is what does all the work. Well, not the soldering iron, but the heat from it. The soldering iron itself actually doesn't do anything other than heat up the part, of course. Okay, that one's done. Now this connection over here. Some wire that's kind of silvery like this is requires that you heat it up immediately, but other wires, you have to heat it up thoroughly, not immediately. Although heating it up immediately can't hurt. But certain wires, like copper will just plain soak up solder. But some wire takes a bit of doing for that to happen. It takes a bit of effort. You have to hold the soldering iron on there for a pretty good amount of time before you can before it will accept solder. I'm not sure why that is. I guess just some molecular combination under the surface is at work and making it attracted to the lead in the solder or the tin. Alright, I believe that's it as far as the circuit goes. Now let's plug in a battery and test this out. Hopefully I don't get a short from those exposed wires. That's something... oh, yeah, careful there. Gotta be real careful with shorts, because if you get a short in your wire, not only will your circuit not work, but it will drain your battery, or if it's plugged into the house, the mains, it may cause your breaker to go off. Okay, now let's see if old Iron Man works now. How anticlimactic. I believe I soldered the wires to the wires wrong down here. That's something that I really need to start getting is ribbon cable. Ribbon cable is color coded, and this would not happen. Ideally. So give me a second here to switch out the wires, and then we'll see if this actually works. Okay, this is Iron Man Take 2. Hopefully it works this time. And what do you know, it does. Look at there. Man, how cool is that? Look at that right there, and those eyes. And of course the palm is much brighter than them, suggesting that it's about to fire. Which, and it's also a slightly different color, which also suggests it's a a weapon or something. Okay, now that that's out of the way, I'm going to, well, first switch it off. And now I'm going to get at sanding the joints down. So, anyway, you're going to have to give me a minute. I need to find some sandpaper, but when I do, I will get back to get back to the seams. Alright, found some sandpaper. Rather large sheet of it. And I've also got my Flexi files. My reel files. This is actually a rifler file, or riffler file, whatever you call it. And my X-Acto. X-Actos, I'm going to start off with the X-Acto because I'm most familiar with it. X-Actos are really useful for cleaning up seams, especially on flat surfaces, but they can also be used on smooth, round surfaces. But you want to be careful with that because you might accidentally put a flat spot in the round surface if that happens, so you're actually better off using sandpaper on round surfaces. Next up, of course, is the file. The flat file is good for cleaning up seams that are, well, they're flat, and a round file for round seams. You know, there's one for every possible purpose. Especially with rifler files. Rifler files you can get into very tight spaces because there's a crook in the tip. And, you know, I'm not going to explain sandpaper. So, finally, there is the Flexi file. Flexi files are good for round surfaces as well because they can form, as you can see here, to whatever surface you're trying to sand. In this case, the arm. And it produces a very smooth finish. You get several different grades of sandpaper, basically, with your Flexi files, and you get 3 harps. So, you know, you can have 3 different grades of sandpaper in whenever you go to polish whatever it is you're trying to sand. You can use the fine grade. If you're trying to get rid of material very quickly, you can use the heavier grade, which I'm going to switch to because this is taking forever. This Aves liquid putty, this stuff here is... I'm going to have to retract my recommendation of this. It's really not suitable for seam filling, I don't think. Unless you want to spend all night sanding, like I'm doing. And it doesn't stick very well to smooth surfaces. Notice that little dark spot right there? That's where the Aves epoxy paste used to be, but it popped free. So I'm going to have to fill that in with some Bondo. Bondo works very well, by the way, for this. Okay, I'm going to try and get this sanded, and then I'll come back to the video. Oh, well, after about, I'm going to say, an hour of sanding on this thing, I'm still not done with it. This Aves is very hard, high-impact material, apparently, because sandpaper barely touches it. Even the I'm using 220 grit sandpaper, which is reasonably rough. It's not as rough as 150 grit, or whatever that particular denomination is. Sorry about that. It's that goes to show you I've been doing this all night. Should not have watched Iron Man, but I needed the inspiration. Anyway, back to the sandpaper. Even I wouldn't want to use over 220 grit, because if you use really rough sandpaper, it will cut grooves into your it'll scratch the surface of your model and give you some deep scratches that will be hard to remove in the long run. So yeah, you want to use heavy sandpaper, but you don't want to use really heavy. You don't want to use really high grit sandpaper. So I'm going to call it quits on the Iron Man tonight. I'll probably sand on it intermittently between now and the next Iron Man video. But right now I'm really just tired of looking at it. You ever get that point where you're just that love-hate relationship you have with models, where you don't even want to look at it anymore? I'm at that point with Iron Man right now. I mean, at the start of this video, I was pretty excited to work on it, but now it's just a chore to get back to sanding on this thing. So I'm going to just stop the video, just call a halt to it, and like I said, I'm going to work on it intermittently, try to get it sanded down so that I can get back to painting it, so I can get to painting it at all in the next video. Well, the next Iron Man video. So I'm going to, so next video I'm going to be working on the TIE Defender. I know I said I was going to do it tonight, but like I said, I just wanted to get back to Iron Man, and I had traded off working on Iron Man last night for working on the X-Wing. And so I needed to get back to work on the Iron Man. So, I got what I wanted to do finished tonight, and I'll be working on the TIE Defender tomorrow. And hopefully, this is going to be a repeat of what I said last night, but I'm going to fix the wings. It's resting back there with 2 wings off of it. I still haven't gotten those panels put back on. So I'm going to get that fixed and hopefully finish the lighting system for the cockpit. And then it will be just about ready for paint, I think. If there's nothing... Oh, laser cannons and torpedo launchers. And a couple of other things, actually. So it's not going to be ready for paint in the next video. But anyway, man, it's been a long night. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, and I started this thing at 1. Oh, I am beyond tired right now, which is why I'm rambling, probably. So I better call it quits now before I just completely run out of video. So anyway, until next time, peace out, and live long and prosper.